If you had a time machine and you could travel back to 2010, but the timekeepers deemed that you could only bring back 5 Hero Factory sets to the present day, well, which 5 are you picking? In this video, I'm going to pick my top 5 favorite Hero Factory sets from 2010, and we'll throw in 5 honorable mentions as well. Let's see if my choices match up with your choices. So, the last set that I'll be picking up, the number 5 spot, that goes to a lovely little set. Not so little. It's 7160 Dropship. I've always thought this was a pretty stellar set. You know, anytime you get a construction vehicle, it always brings me joy. I think it's such a great concept that LEGO's kind of always done a great job of making. Construction vehicles, they slap. But what I love about this specific vehicle set is how they took advantage of the fact that the standard 1.0 hero build, it's a lot smaller of a character. Because I feel like something like this wouldn't really be possible if the standard 1.0 hero was actually, you know, a bit taller like the 2.0 version, or if they were more Toa sized. The way that the character sits in the dropship, it doesn't feel forced, everything is scaled very well, and it's a really solid design too. It kind of passes as just like a modern Technic set. It's so compact, it's so well designed, it basically is the same as your modern Technic supercars and stuff. And this set has some really good playability and some fantastic functions too. As you can see on the box, the wings and the lasers, they sort of flap, I guess, but that's not how it like flies forward. They flap up because they move up and then move back down as they pick up Hero Factory canisters, and then they fly them off to their missions and drop them off. How cool is that? You know, much like early Bionicle sets, they made the canisters not just a box that the toy comes in, they made it something that was a part of the way that you played. So here the canister is like a transportation system that the heroes get inside of and then they're dropped off at their next mission. Plus, you know, from like an environmental point of view, you're not just creating all this waste with these canisters. The kids and the adults, whoever collects this, they're more than welcome to take that canister, peel the label off, and use it for play, or maybe even use it for mocks as well. There's so many genius ideas packed into this set. And also, I love the fact that you get a random hero. To my knowledge, he's never been named, and I love that. You get to decide who this dude is, you get to decide what their deal is. You can create your own backstory, imprint yourself onto this character. I like that. Sure, you know, it's nice to have named characters with backstories and all of that, but a blank canvas, Joe Smith, that's cool too. So yeah, so much to love about this set, and honestly, this probably could have actually been higher up on this list here. I really like this set. Up next, the number 4 spot, it goes to Meltdown. Now, something I love about Meltdown is how he's packed full of great pieces, but he's also a very well-designed villain. Honestly, every villain in this wave was really good, but Meltdown was my favorite. So let's unpack the pieces that you get in this set first. You get this newly recolored lime tentacle piece. Of course, this piece first appeared in orange in Kalmar back in the Mari era of Bionicle sets. And you know, seeing this piece in lime, that's great. It really does look like it's covered in toxic waste. It's taken a piece that was originally designed to look very, you know, tentacle-like with suction cups and things over it, and now those suction cups start to look more like bubbles that you would see in toxic waste. It's amazing how the one change-up of color actually does a lot for this piece and works well for the look of that piece too. Such a good recolor that works really well with the concept of the set. You also get some of these cool toxic barrels that are on their shoulders here. It's a lovely new piece. I've seen people use it for limb designs on Bionicle builds. It's a pretty helpful part. But also, again, it works with that toxic waste vibe, and it does look very good on the character. And I think the same can be said for this head design. It's so many cool and interesting angles and a unique shape to it as well. A lot of the parts that come in this set double as great pieces, but also great design elements that showcase this mean-looking dude with various fun, toxic-themed designs. To me, he's the perfect example of what made the villains of Hero Factory so awesome. They're in your face, they're clean cut, they're fantastic designs, they're a little bit stereotypical, but that's why we like them. Meltdown is exactly that, and that's why I love him. Any set that's a good parts pack and has good character design, I'm gonna be buying it and bringing it back in my time machine. The third set I'm picking up, well, it's a hero this time, the best hero. I'm sure you all saw this coming, it's Mark Serge. Now look, I think Serge is great. The energy and the shape of this mask has always felt so electric, fast, and cool, and it gives Mark a very clear personality. And dude, those electric weapons, what's not to love? Younger Ben thought those were so cool, and I still think they're a pretty cool weapon as well. But we can't deny that, yes, I love Serge because this mask belongs to my self-mock, Cossy, and it's the logo for this channel. There's a lot of reasons that I enjoy this. But with all of that, I think it's fair to say that that does contribute to my love of Serge. Actually, on that, I'll share with you some quick photos of the progression of my self-mock, because Serge does play a big role in making this mock. So this is the oldest version of Cossy, the mock that represents me. This version was heavily inspired by a mock that I actually spent like 30 minutes trying to find images of, but I can't, unfortunately. I thought it was built by someone named Sam I Am, but I could not find anything related to their work online. Still, it was inspired by something. If I can find images of it, I'll share it another time. But when I finished building this version of Cossy, I didn't really like how it looked, so I ended up posting it on mock pages at the time under a Mark Serge revamp for the title. From there, I took a lot of inspiration from Callan Lord of Fire and a few other different self-mocks on mock pages, and really buffed up the design of Cossy a fair bit, gave him some cool wings, and this sword that uses those same Serge lightning pieces. From there, the mock evolved a bit more, with a few more different refinements and things. I even gave him this interesting Makuta form back in the day. It should be worth noting these mocks are very old. They're probably in the, like, I don't know what, this is probably around 2010, 2011 maybe? So yeah, certainly dated mocks that I would certainly build very differently today. Anyway, so when I built this Makuta form and when I built that previous version of Cossy, I then entered into a bit of a mocking block where I just felt like I couldn't build anymore, and that lasted about a year. A lot of that was linked to my mental health at the time as well, but it was a pretty, like, frustrating, sad, difficult time for me back in the day. But that mocking block ended with this new version of Cossy. This one had some interesting blue flame wings like you see here. That then evolved into how he looks today, which is a slightly different version, changing up those wings and a few other details too. Again, this is still pretty outdated. It looks like a mock from 2013 because it basically is. But I don't really have any plans to take this version of Cossy apart. I'll probably build a separate, more updated version in time, but not now anyway. But to me, this version of Cossy is like a triumph over adversity and like a persistence to be creative during the hard times. You know, when I spoke about before how I felt like I just couldn't build anymore. This mock to me is very symbolic of a desire to be creative and a desire to just push through challenges and uncertainties and to be proud of the LEGO mocks that I build. That's what this mock was very much born out of all those years ago, and that's kind of why it's also the perfect mascot for this channel. Just a symbolic mesh of being creative and loving what you build and loving LEGO. And being happy as well. So look, even if this mock is a little bit outdated from a mocking point of view, I think what it stands for is really cool, and it's very difficult for me to separate that from this self-mock Cossy to Mark Serge, this set. Because, I mean, look, they literally share the exact same face. It's pretty easy to just sort of mesh the two together there. So yeah, a lot of symbolic and deeper love behind this set. I think he's really cool. The number 2 spot goes to the awesome, the fantastic, the Rad Rotor. Rotor has so much room for playability, and I loved that as a kid. Heck, I still love it now. As a kid, I played with this quite a lot. I adored the idea of this big spinning rotor blade working as either an ability thing for them to fly, or actually using it as a weapon that could be used in battle. The rotor blade does have a function where you can either point it upwards so that it's like a helicopter, or angle it backwards so yeah, it's a bit like a weapon. It was intended to work that way. And mate, I played with this thing for ages. So much room for imaginative play. It's a simple concept, sure, but it's so elegant and so thought-provoking for me. I just really liked that. Plus this arm cannon, although it's more of a gas weapon when you look at some of the box art and actual art for this guy. That was cool. Same thing can be said for this Zamasphere launcher. Both are great looking weapons. And then of course he's just a big imposing titan. Everything about this set is great. And the orange and black, great colors, great pieces. It's well designed, it's perfect for play. And look, if that isn't the sign of a perfect LEGO set, then I don't know what is. Love Rotor. Alright, time for that number 1 spot, but before we get to the number 1 spot, let's go through some honorable mentions. In no particular order, let's start off with this one. I love the Furno bike. Furno was already awesome, but then they decided to give him a bike? Instantly 1,000 times cooler. I remember I modified my version of this set so that Furno had some more posable limbs and he still had his blades. So then I would have him like zoom past bad guys on the bike and then swing out those blades and cut them up. It was hours of fun with this set. It was a great set. Heroes on a bike? What's not to love? Breeze also deserves an honorable mention here because if we go back to those early Cossy designs that I showed you before, well, the original idea was to buy Serge and then use the cool weapon pieces from Serge, but that was it. I then wanted to build a figure that was using lime pieces and Breeze's mask. But at the time, I only had enough money to buy one figure, so I exclusively bought Serge, and then I got too impatient and went, I'm just going to start building this character. He's going to look very similar to Serge. So yeah, that fateful decision ultimately led to this channel having blue branding and a cool blue Serge mask for the logo. So yeah, there is an alternate reality out there where this channel would be very lime green with Breeze's mask as the mascot's mask, and myself, Not Cossy, would have Breeze's mask and be a lime. That was the original plan, but it never happened. So look, for that reason, for that cool, fun alternate reality, I'm keeping Breeze on this list. Thunder is another set that I love. But ironically, as a kid, I didn't like Thunder. I bought all the other villains, and I loved them all. But I left this one behind. At the time, I don't know what it was. I just thought he looked boring and he just didn't grab me. But then one day, I changed my mind and I thought, all right, I'll give him a go. And then I went home and I built him and, well, dang, I realized just how perfect he was. He's got a great mask, a really interesting power gauntlet arm cannon design, which was very fun to play with. I always imagined him creating electro balls with it and shooting at his enemies, but also like strangling people with it, using it as a hand. There's a lot of playability with it. This was a good set. So, you know, that pleasant surprise of realizing just how cool it was when I was skeptical before. That was a delight, so, you know, happy memories with this set, even still today. Thunder's awesome. Explode is another brilliant set. So many great pieces and a really nice overall design. It's so fitting for a villain. I love these red spike armor elements. And I also like their coloration and the shape of them. It actually kind of looks like an explosion. And you know, of course that reflects his name, bit of fun, really cool. And also the cheeky grin on that mask design. He's got so much personality. Good set. The final honorable mention belongs to Von Nebula. I don't want to talk about him too much here because I just posted a video talking about him at great length, so go watch that if you want to hear my thoughts about this set. But yeah, he's striking, he's a menacing villain, he looks exactly the way he should if he is the big bad evil character of this wave. He's perfect. Had to put him on the list. Okay, now for the number one spot. The set I'm grabbing right away and taking back with me to the present day. It's a set that I actually still don't own even today. It's 7179 Bulk and Vapor. Now, anytime you get a 2-pack like this, it's a set I'm gonna love. Bulk versus Vapor in one box. It's the perfect recipe for play. And man, it's a very, very, very rare thing for Bionicle or Hero Factory sets to include 2 characters in one box. Doesn't happen often, especially when they're a villain and a hero fighting each other. And it surprises me that that's rare. You'd think that was the perfect toy, right? I guess they want you to buy multiple sets instead of just buying the one. Who knows? I don't know how Lego thinks. But yeah, it's so easy for a kid or an adult to buy a set like this and immediately have fun with the classic good guy versus bad guy dynamic. So good. I love a 2-pack. But also the design of both of these characters. It's great. Bulk looks good, but he's always looked good. Although now he's got 2 gun arms. Sure, they just slapped Stringer's black gun arm onto Bulk. The color scheme doesn't even totally match up. But hey, dual-wielding blasters? That's pretty cool. It's amazing how much a tiny little upgrade like this suddenly makes them look way cooler. Sure, he's got the tube on his back and a jetpack as well, but that just adds to the coolness. And Vapor, they're also dual-wielding these Zamasphere launchers. They're the perfect match for one another. I also like that we get a blue rotor mask in this set. Although, I remember that the reason I didn't buy this set back in the day was because I went, this set just has a blue rotor mask. I already have an orange one from Rotor. I don't need it in blue, so I'm not going to buy this set. What a fool I was. Such a silly reason to not buy a set like this. So yeah, the great character design and the layers of playability that come in a set with 2 in one pack, it's the best. It's my favorite. So that's the best Hero Factory sets of 2010 in my opinion. Would you pick up the same sets when you travel back to 2010, or does your heart lie elsewhere? I'd love to hear your favorites in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Happy building, and bye for now.